Hi everyone, and welcome to today's General Hospital recap. As always, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of our videos or recaps. Big-ish day on General Hospital, so let's get right to it. At Elizabeth's place, Jake tells Elizabeth that Hayden woke up, and Elizabeth gets a little panicky, and look, there's a secret cat right here. Misha Miga. Okay, and he tells Elizabeth how Hayden is, and that, she doesn't remember. All she remembers is the con that was going on. So then Jake tells Elizabeth that he's disappointed that Hayden couldn't tell him who he was, and he very clearly wants to know who he was. And, for Elizabeth to be like, well, he has a better life now. This, that, the other thing. It's just ignorant and malicious because obviously he's not fully content in his new life. Like, he enjoys it, don't get me wrong, but he would like to know his old life. So, Elizabeth admits that part of her hopes that Jake never finds out who he is, and she knows that makes her a terrible person, and he says he wouldn't want to lose her either, and they tell each other how much they love each other, but, that's all fine and good if she didn't know who he really was, but the fact is, she does, and you can't really love someone and then, keep who they really are from them. I mean, maybe I just have high standards for what I look for, but whatever. So, as soon as Jake leaves the room, this was all taking place in her bedroom, by the way, so as soon as he leaves the room, she gets on the phone with Nicholas. Go figure. At the hospital, Obrecht and Patrick talk about Silas and a little bit about Hayden, and then Sam goes to visit Hayden. So Sam just outright accuses Hayden of faking the amnesia thing, especially because when Sam first walked in, Hayden thought she was talking to a nurse because she just heard someone walk in, and she demanded a proper breakfast instead of what she's eating. So Sam really digs into Hayden, and Patrick walks in, and Hayden tells him that Sam is basically badgering her and she's not welcome here and she wants her out. So Patrick throws Sam out of Hayden's room and tells Sam that he has no choice but to treat Hayden. Hayden's condition is genuine until it's proven otherwise, and then he asks why she cares so much, and right then Jake walks out of the elevator. Patrick looks at him, dramatic soap opera, stares at everyone. So then Sam and Jake act very nonchalant, and I'm very proud of them because Sam tells him that a friend of hers was murdered last night. He politely asks if there's anything he can do, and then he asks Patrick if he can go to see Hayden. So they were really keeping it under the radar. So when Jake goes to see Hayden, he asks her if the name Nicholas Cassidy means anything to her. And then cut back, Sam tells Patrick that her and Jake have been working together for Michael. So what was with all the secrecy, because you just blew it? And then Patrick's upset, and she says she trusts him, but she doesn't trust Elizabeth. And she'll have to elaborate on that tomorrow. That'll be fun. Speaking of not trusting Elizabeth, go figure, let's get to the floating rib, because Liz and Nicholas meet there. And after she tells him about Hayden's condition and that she woke up, and that even though she doesn't remember Jake, she potentially could, because that's how life works, he says that he'll handle it, and she asks him exactly what that means. And then later in the episode, she in no uncertain terms basically asks Nicholas if he had Hayden shot, and I believe she will learn the answer to that tomorrow, but we already know the answer. At the police station, Nathan questions Franco and shows him the evidence against him. Franco calls Obrecht, and of course Obrecht comes right down. So, Obrecht doesn't believe Franco did it, but when she walks in, she tells Franco that, she thought he had, quit his habit of, the killing of the people, which to me is just a little more than a bad habit. But then when he says that he didn't kill Silas, she's relieved and said, you know what, I knew you didn't, whatever. So then Franco wants to confide in her, but he doesn't want her to be able to tell anyone, so he gives himself a hangnail, which hurts, by the way. So that way Obrecht has to give him medical attention, and then the conversation they have is covered under doctor-patient confidentiality, so, apparently. So he tells her that he found Nina at the scene. Obrecht wants to tell... Wait. What did I write? Obrecht wants to tell, but Franco tells her, she can't because, hello, doctor-patient confidentiality. So he also tells her that Nina didn't kidnap the baby, Silas did. She asks why Silas would do something like that, and he's going through it, and he's, mainly in his head, he's, trying to go through it, and he's like, oh my god, I know who killed Silas. And then Franco tells Obrecht that Ava killed Silas. So right now I just want to like take a second. Like, I know Ava was trying to be strategic, like tell Franco, because then Franco will go destroy the tape because he's Scott's son and he has access to it. But strategically, I feel like that was really short-sighted, because now all that is like, we're past all that right now, and Franco has huge damaging information against her that potentially could get her wrapped up in another homicide. So super short-sighted, especially if she's the one who killed Silas. Like, seriously. But anyway, let's go back to it. At Shady Brook, I can't today. Shady Brook, Nina calls Franco and there's no answer. She winds up calling Rick. Rick comes down and tells her that, what did she tell? She tells Rick that she knows Silas is dead, and Rick was like, oh, I was going to call you, but I didn't want to upset you. And basically, you know, you're dealing with the fact that you kidnapped a baby. I didn't want to. Ooh, what happened? Alana jumped on this, and suddenly all hell broke loose. Okay, so what happened? We'll never know. We'll never know what happened. 1 second. Let me get back down to. Rick. Okay, so she tells Rick that she knows Silas is dead. Rick was like, oh, I was going to call you, but I didn't want to upset you, especially since you're dealing with the fact that you kidnapped the baby. And she's like, actually, I didn't kidnap the baby. Funny story. So then Nathan comes to visit, so that conversation kind of gets put on hold, and he tells Nina that Franco's in custody. Nina gets really upset, and Rick says he won't represent him. Like, he'll talk to Alana. Why do you have to do this to me? At Denise's place. Okay, Rick says he won't represent Franco. He'll talk to a public defender. Nina's like, he doesn't need a public defender. Whatever. At Denise's place, Morgan calls Denise, and this should definitely be an interesting conversation that hopefully sheds some light. Unfortunately, Dante comes to the door, and they don't get to have a conversation. So Denise tells Dante that she didn't know Silas very well, and he's like, okay, that's fine, but then why did you call him last night right before he died? And I'm like, well, that's not good. So she says she was planning a dinner party to welcome Kiki home, and she wanted to invite him. Dante asked why she didn't leave a message. She said she hates the way her voice sounds, and nobody listens to them anyway. Can't argue with that, as someone who has like 20 unheard messages. And then Dante asks her about her relationship with Franco. Dante tells Denise that Franco is in custody, because Denise is like, well, what's Franco got to do with this anyway? So, yeah. Morgan, at Morgan/Carly's place, whatever. Kiki shows up. Kiki tells Morgan she's the one who found Silas. Morgan asks Kiki why she came home early, like she wasn't supposed to be home, she was supposed to be at the Hamptons, and Kiki tells him that Silas left her a message saying that he had something important to tell her. Morgan, and that like she had hardly anything in common with her friends anyway. She missed Morgan, and Silas had something to tell her. So then Morgan asks her if the police know who did it, and she tells them that Franco did it and they have him in custody. Morgan is kind of surprised when Kiki says they have him in custody. And Morgan seems very perplexed by Kiki telling him that Franco is the one in custody and that Franco had the murder weapon on him. So then she tells him that Franco insists he didn't do it. And then one last note before we leave. Ava has a memory right before the show lets up. So we see a memory from Ava of her leaving Silas's place. She seems pretty shaken up, and she has like a handkerchief when she's like closing the handle, which she doesn't have fingerprints anyway, so, but I guess whatever, force of habit. So do you think that's proof that she did it, or do you think they're just showing that like I mean, obviously she knew. So did she find the body? Did she see who did it? Or did she do it? What do you think? A lot of interesting theories. A lot. I know that Morgan is like the go-to, very obvious person. For right now, that's, I mean, if the show's trying to lead me astray, then they are doing a very good job of it, because today was, I don't know, in my opinion, even more proof. Like, he was so perplexed. He had it planned. I don't know. I feel like he had a plan out in his head how this was going to unravel, and it's unraveling a totally different way. He definitely knew Silas was dead before the news came out, like, very obviously. So we know that. So we know at least that he knew Silas was dead before the news came out, which means he might have been involved. He might have been going to confront Silas. So Who knows, who knows, who knows. I will see you tomorrow for more General Hospital. Oh, it's Friday tomorrow, isn't it? This week went really fast. Did this week go really fast for anyone else? Oh, this time last week I was in New York, that's why. But I will see you tomorrow for more General Hospital. It's probably going to be a killer tomorrow. No pun intended. But I will see you then. I hope you have a great day. Bye.